I asked you guys on Instagram to tell me your #1 fragrance of all time. Rafael Assassano has submitted, please answer my question. What is better in longevity? Cedra Boisé or Club de Nuit Intense Man Eau de Parfum? I don't think you understood the assignment, Rafael, but it's simple. The answer is... And then Emmett753 has gone ahead and submitted his entire collection for review. And FRXNZ has said, ain't for review, but my ex used to wear Sauvage everywhere and now I can't stop smelling that hoe. Please help. Life's tough, man. And finally, Cannabis Som has simply shouted at me, Cannabis, let's collab. I think it's gonna be a long day, guys. Class is in session. You guys know I love to do these community videos where I bring everyone's opinion on board. I didn't ask you guys to provide me your #1 most complimented fragrance. I want the best of the best and for everyone to see each other's answers. We'll use this video and myself as a reference to review each of these, tell you a bit about them, and give them ratings out of 10. I've picked them randomly and also based on which fragrances I actually do own. This should be a very good video. Today's video is sponsored and it's based around a relatable problem. Let's say you're on your computer and you're searching up an inconspicuous fragrance-related question, and shortly after doing that you realize you're spammed non-stop with these adverts of fragrance companies who insist they have replicated Tom Ford fragrances for only $5 and they last just as long, and they feel like they're pyramid schemes. I know people in the UK will know exactly the companies I'm talking about. I'm not sure if other parts of the world also has these, but it's all related to data, which is a hot topic in society in general. Your data is not always secure, especially if you're using public Wi-Fi hotspots, and you're not always getting the privacy that you demand. So there's no excuse for any of this in today's technology-driven world. There's easy solutions, and that will be the topic of today's sponsor. We'll get onto that later on, but for now, let's get into the main video. At number 15, and going in no particular order, we're starting off strong. We're going with Dior Homme Parfum. When people discuss this line, they usually mention Intense, which I think is an easier fragrance to wear than this. This was getting a little bit tricky to find, but I think now on the Dior website, they've reintroduced this, so you can easily buy it, but it is not an easy fragrance to wear. It is iris and leather, and it smells very mature, professional. It's not very playful, meaning that it's going to be limited to wearability for very mature boss type personalities, I think, like Bruce Wayne is what I always say. Imagine you're going through Gotham, you just got caught jaywalking by Batman and he's beating the crap out of you, and the only thing you smell is Dior Homme Parfum. It's a beautiful smell, high quality, smells niche, and it lasts a very long time, over 12 hours. I would give it full points in terms of scent, but the wearability is what brings it back. Overall, I would give this a 8 out of 10. Aban Z has submitted Versace The Dreamer. I'll remind you guys of the story. This is the last fragrance that was helped to be designed by Gianni Versace before he passed away. It is a very good fragrance for the price, in my opinion. It's got a lot of artistic expression in here and it's unique. It's tobacco with florals and lavender, meaning that it's balanced enough to be worn most of the year round. I think for the price, it is a great signature for guys who can pull it off, and it lasts a good amount of time, about 6 to 8 hours. In my opinion, I really like this fragrance. I think this is a good submission, Aban. I would give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Before we carry on, let's talk about today's sponsor, guys, NordVPN. If you don't know what a VPN is, it stands for a virtual private network. The function is to encrypt the data on your own device so that people can't spy or steal your data from you. This is a very easy and great solution to give you privacy and security, as well as the fact that NordVPN has functions like being able to change your location, so you can, first of all, kind of fool people trying to see where you are in the world, as well as the fact that you can access content such as on streaming services or gaming services to get things that aren't available in your country. Finally, NordVPN also takes away bandwidth capping, which you can get from your internet service providers or public Wi-Fi hotspots, so that you have as much speed as possible. I highly recommend it, guys. I use it myself, and there's no reason to keep yourself vulnerable in today's world with all this technology around us. You can use it for yourself, use up to 6 devices for your family. It's extremely affordable, And if you use the affiliate link that I'm going to leave in the description below, as well as the comments, you get an even bigger discount. Make sure to check it out, guys. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Let's carry on. At 13, we have Jo Malone's Myrrh and Tonka, which I have my little sample of here, submitted by John Petit. Fantastic submission, John. I checked this fragrance out because people usually say from Jo Malone, this is their best scent, and I would have to agree. If you want to check out this brand, try Myrrh and Tonka first. It has beautiful ingredients. Obviously, it has myrrh and tonka, which gives it this unique, elegant sweetness, but it's not overpowering. It's quite balanced out from lavender and almond, making this surprisingly wearable. This could be your sweet signature unisex for both men and girls all year round. I think for that reason, it's got good value for money. It lasts a good amount of time, at least 8 hours, but it is quite close to the skin. Overall, I would give this an 8 out of 10 also. I promise, guys, I do know other numbers apart from 8. Next up, Puru Kundra has submitted a classic, the original L'Eau d'Issey. What's a classic from the 90s? If you've ever smelled it before, you know this is a white floral fragrance for men. It does smell masculine, but it does smell a little bit old school. It does have this strange, slightly outdated old school synthetic nature to it, especially on the dry down. So I do think it is a well-blended fragrance. Not particularly high quality when you smell it up close, but I think you are getting what you pay for. Performance is good as well, 6 to 8 hours. If I had to give this a score out of 10, it's not getting an 8, guys. It's getting a 6 out of 10. Gaz W85 has submitted Tom Ford's Oud Mineral, which I have a sample here from my friend Ibrahim. I will admit, this is a bit of an acquired taste, but I really like this fragrance personally. It has that iconic high amount of character from the Tom Ford private line. It's a very much marine type of fragrance. It does have oud in here, but it's still also fresh. In my opinion, you could wear this as your signature fragrance most of the year round if you're somebody who wants to wear a marine signature. It has this intense seaweed vibe, which can be challenging for some people. I think it's a very good fragrance. I don't think it's real oud here, like a lot of Tom Ford fragrances, but overall, I would give this a 7 out of 10. Staying with the marine theme, we've got Callum85 recommending the new Light Blue Forever. This fragrance is getting a lot of hype in the community. Does it deserve it? The main selling point of this fragrance is the realistic grapefruit note you will get in the first few hours from this fragrance. It does smell high quality from that grapefruit, but in my opinion, I don't think it deserves the amount of hype it's getting. I think it's a good fragrance, but it's a little bit simple. It's mainly got that grapefruit, and then it goes down to a bit of a muskiness in the dry down. Overall, I would say this is linear. It lasts about 6 to 8 hours. You have to really be a fan of that opening to really be a big supporter of this scent. Obviously, I compare it to Light Blue Intense. I think Light Blue Intense smells more sexy and lasts longer. Some guys may not agree with my score here, but I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Oh, Matthias Dab, you have thrown in a legendary fragrance. Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. If you want one of the greatest tobacco fragrances ever made, you definitely need to try this fragrance out. I think it's one of the strongest offerings from the private blend by Tom Ford. It's fairly simple, tobacco and vanilla, but it's not harsh at all. It's a very smooth, almost edible gourmand type of fragrance where they mix chocolate with the tobacco and the vanilla. It's very sexy, alluring, high quality as well. It's what brings people into you during the cold weather ideally. It does have limited wearability. Overall, I think the scent of this is a 10 out of 10, but I'm giving the entire package an 8 out of 10. Bear in mind, guys, it's almost impossible to get a 10 out of 10 through our rating system. Is Tobacco Vanille the best tobacco fragrance, or is this Xerjoff's Naxos? If you're getting into the Xerjoff brand, which is an excellent niche brand, start off with Naxos. Most people love this stuff. It is a very nice combination of tobacco, lavender, and honey. Perfectly sweet, oriental, as well as fresh. This is more versatile than Tobacco Vanille in my opinion. They both still last over 10 hours, good performance, not too loud in their projection. I would say this is a colder weather fragrance, but you can get away with this in the spring. I personally just prefer this over TV, so I would give it a 9 out of 10. By the way, TV is Tobacco Vanille. Mon Lux Maroc, I'm so grateful you brought up this fragrance. Prada's L'Homme Intense. This is peak Prada in my opinion. This is their creativity infused into a bottle. One of their few fragrances that's not a clone. For example, Prada L'Homme, the original, is actually a clone of Dior Homme Eau. This is his own creation. Again, it is an iris and leather fragrance similar to Dior and Parfum, but they're not similar in their scent at all. That's a more serious fragrance. This is a little more playful, has a lot of sweetness from tonka bean, lasts a good amount of time, lasts about 10 hours, a moderate projection. I would say this is somebody's really unique, distinct, maybe even special occasion signature, but anyone who dresses well, is mature, carries himself really well, can wear this most of the year round, apart from the summertime. I think it's just a beautiful, intensely powdery iris fragrance that still smells masculine. It's got very high quality perfumery. I think this is higher quality than the price you are paying. For that reason, I'm giving this fragrance a 9 out of 10. Kyriakos has submitted the Blazing Mr. Sam by Penhaligon's. If I smell this fragrance, it reminds me of another fragrance. This, Penhaligon's Halfeti. Blazing Mr. Sam is Halfeti repackaged with their fancy animal heads that they now have in their fragrances. I ended up buying their entire scent library because Penhaligon's pumped this out through their diffusers that comes outside their shop itself. So this was in the air as you walk past their shop, which is very clever. So Blazing Mr. Sam is basically Halfeti, which is the best fragrance from Penhaligon's in my opinion. It's the first one you should try. It's their very good combination of rose and oud. It's a cold weather signature. It is extremely sexy and unisex and lasts a good amount of time, about 8 hours. I think it is reasonably priced, but obviously rose and oud fragrances usually have limited wearability. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Gary722 has said Mancera Red Tobacco is his #1 fragrance. We are holding it today in our own Red Atomiser, guys. If you want to access these, the link will be in the description below. Red Tobacco is Mancera all over. Loud, compliment getting, unforgiving, challenging and synthetic. It does have this ashy, sort of harsh opening. Some people will love it, but some people may not like it. The most beautiful thing about this fragrance is the dry down. It has this vanilla and oud combination. It's vanilla, oud, tobacco and spices. It's a very beautiful fragrance. It's very interesting. No one can deny that. But that dry down, you are going to get that later on in the second half of this fragrance's duration. And overall, this is a 24-hour fragrance. It's absolutely beast mode. If you like long-lasting fragrances, Red Tobacco may also be your #1. Overall, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Nevardo Ufresni has given me an excuse to bring out one of my most prized items. The original tin can version of Yves Saint Laurent's Rive Gauche. This is going for a few £100 nowadays. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you guys paying that much for this tin can version, but it is a beautiful fragrance. Not worth that much, but it is beautiful. It's a very classic barbershop fragrance. It almost has this sort of menthol, minty, sort of fresh aftershave effect to it. It becomes a little bit more woody, more masculine, spicy on the dry down. It's very beautiful and transformative. It's a very classic barbershop fragrances. There are more modern alternatives around nowadays, so I don't think this is a must-have of a fragrance. It lasts 10 hours, it's extremely versatile, can be worn pretty much all year round on all occasions. Very classy, elegant, a very good creation from the past by YSL. Overall, I would have to give it an 8 out of 10. Another blast from the past by Geob Ernal. The original Armani Code, which still exists today, but it's been reformulated heavy. This doesn't last as long as it used to, but this was the original man's spicy aromatic fragrance. Star anise is the iconic note here. This is a sexy fragrance. This is a well-dressed mature man's signature, where most of the year round, even to this day, this still gets me a lot of compliments. In the first hour or so, it lasts about 4 to 6 hours. It's not as well performing as it used to be, but it's still a great fragrance. There are better alternatives now, like Armani Code Absolute or the new Armani Code EDP, which recreates this very well, but I'll still give this fragrance a 7 out of 10. Now, Zach, you have brought out the big guns. This fragrance is no joke. Nascimato's Black Afghano. Maybe this is what Cannabis Guy was talking about. This does have hashish in it. It's meant to represent the Afghan region, but it doesn't smell of weed. It's got hashish and oud in here. It has its own unique, high quality smokiness to it. It smells a little bit boozy as well, but it's extremely sweet as well. It's a very sweet fragrance. It's a distinct scent for sure, with limited wearability just because of how beastly this fragrance is. If you want beast mode, you're gonna get from this fragrance. This lasts over 24 hours. So if you're gonna wear this, you're gonna have to commit. I can see someone wearing this in the nightclub. It is a sexy fragrance. It gets a lot of compliments. I think it's great to own this just to appreciate the perfumery and the strength behind this. This is obviously 30 mils. It's a small bottle, but not all 30 mils were made equal. This takes only 2 half sprays and I can't smell anything else. I'm gonna struggle to put a dent in this bottle. Because of its limited wearability, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. And to finish things off, Arthur has taken us to the opposite end of the spectrum with the light and summery Fico di Amalfi by Acqua di Parma. The Blue Mediterraneo line from Acqua di Parma is a beautiful line. They're usually light, natural smelling summer freshies. Fico di Amalfi I think is one of the better ones. It has this very beautiful, iconic fig note that's meant to be from the Italian region of Amalfi. I think the opening is the best thing about this fragrance, but in the dry down, I'm not a fan of this sharp green note I'm getting, which kind of ruins the fragrance for me. Performance is not that great. It's about 4 hours, and this is obviously limited to high heat situations, although this is unisex. It is a nice fragrance for the perfumery. I know the kind of people they're trying to sell this fragrance towards, but I'm not that guy personally.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let's carry on the conversation in the comments below. What is your #1 fragrance and why? If you value your privacy and security, especially if you use a lot of public Wi-Fi, make sure you check out NordVPN in the description below. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Check out our other videos. Class dismissed.